Yeah, thank you very much for the kind introduction. I'm always glad to get up on the stage at RIU without being tackled by one of the geologists within Bellevue, and they let a mining engineer come up here and talk. So I'll try my best to keep up with the geology, but we have people in the booth if you've got some questions later on. So as Christina said, we are building Australia's next major gold mine. We have a mine in the Northern Goldfields which has grade, it has scale, it has duration. It's going to create significant margins, and it's going to be in production later this year. So, these sort of assets don't grow on trees. We're very happy with the asset that we have, the progress that we're making, and I'll give you a good update on it today. What we've defined is a project that has a 10-year mine life. The first 5 years of that mine life produces 200,000 ounces per annum at about $1,000 to $1,100 all-in sustaining costs, so firmly at the bottom end of the cost curve. And it'll be pumping out circa $250 million of free cash flow per year during that time. It is a project that has grown significantly and is still growing. Bellevue won the Craig Oliver Award here at RIU a couple of years ago. So it's really pleasing to come back here and talk about the progress that we're making and the fact that we'll be in production very soon. We're underground, we're mining, we're in construction, we've got our team in place, we've got tier 1 contractors in place, and we will be producing gold later this year. So a lot of the story about what we're doing is on that de-risking front and on the building front as we get closer to building the mine, getting first gold bars and into cash flow. The process plant construction is going really well at the moment. All our critical path items are either manufactured on boats sitting on the dock in Fremantle or already on site. Mine development, we've got a really good underground contractor. They're actually going ahead of schedule, so what that'll mean is we'll have more areas open, more stoping levels, more development levels open for first gold, which puts us in a really strong position. Good ore bodies, when you get underground and you drill them, they just get better, and we're seeing that at Bellevue as well, so our grade control programs are giving us positive results. We've got all our critical path permits and, as I said, firmly on track for gold production later this year. I do want to talk about sustainability for a second. Amongst this crowd, when you're in that explorer developer stage, what you tend to do sometimes is take the path of least resistance through to first production. Bellevue's trying to do things a little bit differently and really focus on that ESG space as a competitive advantage throughout that exploration and development phase. We just put out our second sustainability report a couple of weeks ago. Has some really good information in it. We are going with a higher renewable energy power source, so we're going to be a very low carbon emissions mine. And from a diversity perspective, Bellevue hasn't dropped below 40% female participation at any stage in the past over 2 years. So it's a really good platform to grow on and one that we'll look to expand off when we get into production. But here's the exciting stuff, a bit on the location of Bellevue. So where we are located, we're in the Agnew-Luna Greenstone Belt. We're surrounded by 5 million ounce plus gold mines. We're surrounded by significant nickel mines, and within a sort of 15-kilometre radius of us, we've got 3 significant development projects. So Liontown, ourselves, and IGO's Cosmos. What this shows you is that we're in a really good address, a really good corridor. It has all of the crustal scale mantle tapping structures that you need to create these big significant systems, and that's what we're confident that we've got at Bellevue. So zooming in just on the mine, it was a historic mine back from about 1987 through to 1997. They mined one structure sort of through the middle of it here. Once that mine was shut in 1997, Cosmos was discovered, and you can see that in the top corner here. And Bellevue was just used for water depository from Cosmos, and no gold exploration happened here for 20 years. Why was that? Back in that sort of 1990s era, it was just one shear structure, so just the Bellevue lode. You can see that on the left there. And it hit a fault zone called the highway shear, and that was interpreted to displace the ore body. They couldn't find it on the other side. There was a low gold price. It was a hard operating environment. The mine ended up closing and being fully rehabbed. When you smash cut to the current day and the work that our great geology team has done using lots of excellent techniques, it has actually been discovered to be a much more significant endowment there. So We've got hanging wall structures like the Tribune Shear. We've got flat structures like Viago, which is very high grade. We've got north and south extents of the original Bellevue Shear. And we've got a footwall structure called Deacon, which is 1.3 million ounces and doesn't daylight at surface. And then there's also potential for further flat dipping loads and further footwall loads, which we can define when we get underground and get better drilling platforms. So this is what the ore body looks like in 3D. As you can see, it's quite laterally extent. It goes over sort of 2.8 kilometres up to 3.5 kilometres if you include the southern stuff. And if I look at it in 3D and spin it around, what you can see is you've got your Tribune, hanging wall shear, the north and south extents of Bellevue, and the Deacon footwall shear down there, which is that virgin 1.3 million ounce deposit that we're going to get access to later this financial year. It is very well drilled out. We've done over 500,000 metres of oriented diamond core drilling. When you have a look through the mine corridor, it's quite well drilled out in that mine corridor, which gives us a lot of confidence when we go into that mine plan. However, outside of that mine corridor, there are still heaps of targets to chase. I talked about the growth originally. We've continued to grow the resource. So, the resource is just a point-in-time measurement of an ore body. We defined it over 3 million ounce resource, 9.9 grams per tonne. That's enough to pull the trigger and start building a mine. The reserve continued to grow. We put out a new reserve in June last year of 1.3 million ounces, and that's where we get our 10-year mine life from. It's time to build it now, and we'll keep growing those reserves and resources with more underground drilling as we get access from the infrastructure corridor underground. The 10-year mine life that I talked about, this is what it looks like. First 5 years, all designed, all scheduled, all ready to go. When we get the platforms and extend it from underground, we'll drill out. But I think what's important, and you'll see when I take you through the layout of the mine, it really is a platform for growth. So, that potential to get the mine set up, get into production, hit our run rate, and then grow production off that really does exist. Going back into 3D, you can see the mining that we've done here. So we've been mining underground at Bellevue for over 2.5 years now. We've done over 8 kilometres of underground development. It's set up a really good central infrastructure corridor that we can drill off. And when you have a look at how we're setting the mine up, what you can see is, it's being set up for productivity and growth. We have a northern mining front, we've got a southern mining front, we've got a whole other portal called Tribune, so 3 mine access areas just to fill a 1 million tonne per annum mill. And what you can also see here, if you have a look at some of the drill hits here, as I go through, this is the mining that's going to be done in this financial year. This is the mining that's going to be done in next financial year. You can see some of the significant drill hits through here. And this is the mining that's going to be done in FY25. So this is sort of within 2 years of production of the mine. What you can see is that we're not just crossing our fingers and hoping that the gold's going to be there when we get down to mine it. We actually have, high quality, oriented diamond data that backs up what we're going to do, which gives us a lot of confidence. You can sort of see here, as I said, the northern zone, the southern zone, and the Tribune over here. But if you really look at it in an oblique view, and this is something that we really like from a productivity perspective, you've actually got sort of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then Viago comes on that 7. So 7 different mining areas that we're going to be able to take mine at the same time, all independent of each other, and to fill up a 1 million tonne per annum plant with those sort of mining fronts is going to be relatively simple. This shows you the whole mine plan, very well designed, you can see, but obviously not closed off, and will still grow when we get underground. The advantage that we've had getting underground for 2 years, we've really experienced what it's like down there. We've got fantastic ground conditions. It's a massive basalt rock mass, so very hard, but very competent, does what you want it to when you fire it, both in the horizontal and the vertical plane. We've got significant infrastructure already installed, so ventilation systems, independent tag boards for each mining zone, really helps you from a productivity perspective. We have a contractor on site called Develop. These guys are really good at what they do. We're ramping up. We've held them just to capital area, so just getting the decline down, getting vent systems set up, and they've still managed to, in the hard ground that we have, average over 300 metres per month per jumbo, which is a fantastic effort. Last month, so this quarter, we have just opened up the ore drives. We added an extra jumbo to the fleet, and we are doing a couple of raise bores to give ventilation and escapeway systems to allow us to start stoping later this quarter and early in the next quarter. So as I said, ore development commenced. This is a picture of the Upper Armand area. It's the first of 5 production areas that will be online prior to us turning the mill on. We will have surface stockpiles of over 200,000 tonnes at circa 5 grams per tonne for commissioning of the mill, which really de-risks that mill commissioning. I said before about ore bodies getting better. Good ore bodies getting better when you get underground and drill. We've defined this Upper Armand area from surface. You can see the wide space drilling there. When we have the underground platform on the right there, you can see we've drilled it out to a 20 by 10 grade control pattern. And what that's done is it's actually extended the high grade and shown that there's more high grade there when you get that more density of drilling. And just in that small area of the mine, we had a plus 17% ounce reconciliation, which is the right way to go. As I said, this is that 1251-100 Armand drive. It was exactly where we expected it to be. It's well drilled. You can really see the ore body well. And one thing that we're really excited about in this plane is that the geos will interpret that there's one big structure going through there because that's what the drilling said. But what we're actually seeing is these splay structures that you can see in multiple faces that are grading that aren't included in that model. So we think there's potential for some great upside when we do that. From an exploration perspective, I talked a little bit about it, but the ore body is certainly not closed off. We've got ore grade targets. We've got downhole EM plates to the north, to the south, and at depth, all for following up. And when I talked about that footwall structure before, where it's taking 1.2 kilometre holes from the surface to drill it out before we had the underground. Now we are doing it from underground, and it's sort of 500-600 metres away, but we're going to get closer over the next 12 months. The big story for us now is building a processing plant. So, we said we're going to be in production. What do we need to get into production? We actually need somewhere to process it. We have GR Engineering on site. They're making fantastic progress. We've been really fortunate with weather over the summer months. We haven't had any significant rain. We've poured 2,100 cubes of 2250 cubes of concrete there, so the civils are really well advanced, and when you look at this plant on a weekly basis, it just keeps going up. It's very simple processing, 1 million tonne per annum CIL plant, nothing outrageous or crazy here, and we're firmly on track for having this complete before the end of the year. So that's the Bellevue story. It's a world-class mine. It's got tier 1 ESG credentials. It's still going to grow. And we're building it. Thank you.